New developments tonight on the issues of race, politics, and criminal justice as we track the ongoing fallout after the Ferguson and New York grand jury decisions. Today, a number of congressional staffers walked out of work to show solidarity with the people protesting those decisions. They joined together on the steps of the House, raising their hands, as you see here, in the hands up, don't shoot gesture made popular by those in Ferguson, Missouri. All this is tonight. Fox News releases a new poll showing that 62% of voters believe that race relations have gotten worse since Barack Obama became president. Joining me now, David Clarke, the sheriff of Milwaukee County. Sheriff, good to see you again tonight. And so 62% of Americans believe that. And when you break it down, white and black, how have race relations done? 65% of whites believe that. 55% of African Americans believe that race relations have gotten worse. Are they right?
Of course they're right. Look, he built that, and he being the president of the United States, remember that statement, you didn't build that? Well, he built this racial divide. It was a wound that had been healing for a number of years, number of decades, I should say, and he reopened it with his divisive politics. Look, President Obama has benefited from the divide and conquer strategy, and it's secured 2 successive electoral victories for the White House, but it's been very destructive for America. Who would have thought that after the election of the first black president in the history of the United States, that we would need a period of reconstruction to try to put this country back together? What specifically do you feel he's done or not done? Well, he's taken sides in this issues. He's fanned those flames, and it started back at the Gates situation. Remember when he talked about how the police acted stupidly, and that insinuated that the police were engaged in some sort of racial profiling and investigating that. Like I said, instead of go ahead, sir. Instead of taking a more neutral tone and trying to get people to, stay calm about this matter, he fanned those flames. This was a chance for Barack Obama to have a Gettysburg Address moment where he could have asked the country to come back together and heal, and instead all we get out of him is being present.
Do you think it's the president himself, or do you think it's those with whom he surrounds himself, people like Eric Holder and so on?
Well, it's all of them. It's a cabal of people, but he's at the top, and when the president speaks, people listen. He has to choose his words carefully, and he didn't do that when he made the police all across America a whipping post and painted them as bloodthirsty and engaging in racial profiling. Well, he always stops in these remarks and says and acknowledges the sacrifice made by police officers and the fact that they have the right to return home alive. Well, he said the other day, though, that he blamed bad training, and he also said that this fear of people who don't look like them, when he was referring to the police. I thought that was disgusting. So while he may throw a few things in there, a few bones, if you will, to try to smooth things out, people know what he's doing. I said a couple weeks ago, he does this stuff with a wink and a nod. What do you make of the fact that we now have, congressional staffers walking out? We've had basketball players walking out. We've had football players walking out with the hands up, don't shoot thing. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say that's been disproven in Ferguson, but at a minimum, there's been very strong testimony that is not at all what happened, including by African-American witnesses who say that's not what happened. In the meantime, we just did a story about 2 big shot Hollywood producers who were attending a big fundraiser for our first African-American president. And behind the scenes, before they get there, they're talking about what movies would he like? Oh, it's all black movies. That's not, people aren't standing up and yelling about that kind of what appears to be actual racism, or at least racist comments. I won't accuse them of being racists, but the comments versus a situation that is very ambiguous. Your thoughts on it? Well, tasteless, and of course, people on the left get away with it, but that's who they really are. They were exposed for who they are. Look, if we're going to have this bigger discussion about race, and Eric Holder had said we're cowards when it comes to talking about race, well, I'm not, and I'm ready to engage him in that conversation. We have to begin to ask when white society is going to be through paying for the sins of slavery. We're now punishing people for sins that they didn't commit. At some point, and I've done this with myself, I've forgiven and I've moved on. I've stamped that bill marked for the wrongs of slavery paid in full. This country is now open for opportunities for all people, instances of discrimination, racism had to go underground. Okay, it's been uprooted. The President of the United States said a couple days ago that they were deep-rooted, and that's simply not true. So we have to have that discussion as to when we're going to really be ready to move on and forgive people, especially people today who have no connection to what is being talked about anyway.
Sheriff Clarke, it was always interesting to get your perspective. Thanks for being here, sir.
Thank you, Megyn.